Before you drift into sleep tonight, lift your eyes toward the stars. Across that endless darkness shimmer the same lights that call to every generation before us. The promise of travel, of destiny, of something larger than the horizon we know. Welcome to Science Reshaped, a calm corner of the universe where wonder meets quiet reflection. If these journeys bring peace to your nights, please subscribe and tell us where in the world you're listening from. It's always humbling to see our little planet connected by curiosity. We once believed that leaving Earth was inevitable. In the 20th century, rockets lifted humans beyond our cradle for the first time. We touched the moon. We sent probes to every planet. Suddenly, living on other worlds no longer felt like fiction. It felt like a future waiting its turn. But decades later, the dream has slowed. We haven't returned to the moon in half a century, and Mars remains as distant as ever. Every serious plan for permanent life in space collapses not from lack of courage, but from laws deeper than politics. The laws of physics, cost, and human biology. When we think of rockets, we imagine freedom, a sleek craft rising effortlessly into the sky, flames pouring beneath it. The countdown begins, engines ignite, and in moments it seems to slip from Earth's grasp. That image, repeated in every film and memory, built the illusion that space is simply the next stop after the sky. Yet rockets are not symbols of easy liberation. They are machines built to fight one of the most relentless forces we know, gravity, and they pay for every meter with fuel, heat, and precision. Nearly 90% of a rocket's mass is propellant. Only the small capsule at its tip actually survives the journey. The rest is shed in stages, discarded like the shells of an insect struggling free. During the 1960s, rockets became icons of power and hope. Television showed fire, thunder, and triumph, but not the years of failure that preceded each success. Explosions, lost prototypes, and tragedies like Apollo 1 were buried behind the spectacle. The public saw liberation. Engineers saw the narrowest possible victory over disaster. Private companies now stream launches with cinematic flair, promising Mars tickets and interplanetary cities, yet the same equation rules them all. Every launch is the work of thousands, the sum of billions, and a gamble against a universe that resists escape. To leave Earth is not a casual act of exploration. It is the most expensive, precise, and fragile kind of motion ever attempted. And behind each rocket's ascent lies the quiet truth. What rises must surrender nearly everything it carries to stay aloft. When the first astronauts stepped onto the moon, it felt like humanity had crossed a permanent threshold. The entire world watched, hearts racing, as a small grey landscape appeared on flickering screens. Men in bulky white suits walked slowly across that silent ground, planted flags, collected stones, and gazed back at the shimmering blue marble that was home. For a moment, it looked as though the universe had opened its doors. The moon appeared to be only the beginning, a new frontier. Television commentators spoke with certainty. Next will come lunar bases, then Mars, then the outer planets. The world believed that space travel had entered an age of routine, that launches would soon feel as normal as flights across the Atlantic. The illusion was powerful because it felt right. Progress had always moved forward, so why should the stars be different? But beneath the heroic images, the truth was far more fragile. Every Apollo mission was a balancing act between physics, politics, and luck. The rockets that carried humanity to the moon were immense towers of fuel. Each Saturn V was among the most powerful machines ever built. The effort that placed 12 humans on that grey surface consumed billions of dollars, and at its height, 4% of the US federal budget. It required 500,000 people, engineers, machinists, seamstresses, scientists, and navigators. Entire industries were created just to build components that would be used once. The technology of Apollo was breathtaking, but it was also brittle. It could be repeated only with vast resources and political will. Once the Cold War race was won, that urgency evaporated, and with it went the budget that had made it possible. Apollo was not the dawn of a sustainable era. It was a brief, brilliant flash. The moon, rather than a new home, became a mirror reflecting our limitations. In the decades that followed, our presence in space retreated to low Earth orbit. The space shuttle was designed to make spaceflight routine, to transform the extraordinary into the everyday. It promised reusability, reduced cost, and access for science, commerce, and imagination. But reality intervened again. Each launch remained a monumental effort, each accident a national tragedy, and though the shuttle expanded our reach, deploying satellites, building the International Space Station, servicing the Hubble telescope, it never broke free from the same constraints that had haunted Apollo. Orbit is close, yet impossibly far. Just 400 kilometers above us, the International Space Station circles Earth every 90 minutes, its occupants floating in a world without weight, and yet they are never far from home, because they cannot be. Every few months, cargo ships from Earth must arrive carrying food, water, oxygen, spare parts, and even simple tools. Without that constant supply, life there would fade in weeks. This is the difference between exploration and colonization. We can visit space, we can study it, experiment within it, live there briefly, but we cannot yet exist there independently. Even at its nearest, space remains an extension of Earth, a fragile outpost kept alive only by a continuous chain of rockets, engineers, and resupply missions. When people speak of building cities on the Moon or Mars, they imagine it as an act of expansion, the next natural step of civilization. But science paints a different picture, one where every kilogram of material, every breath of air, every drop of water must be paid for in advance, carried against gravity's grip and guarded from the endless vacuum beyond. Even a single bolt or circuit lost to malfunction can become a threat to survival. Space travel is not freedom. It is dependence multiplied by distance. Even with the reusability breakthroughs of today, boosters that return to land in synchronized ballet, the equation has not changed. Fuel still weighs fuel. Payloads still cost fortunes. Each rocket may look sleek and modern, but it is bound by the same century-old physics that defined the Saturn V. We may have polished the process, but we have not escaped its nature. The truth is that leaving Earth, truly leaving, is not a question of courage or funding. It is a question of energy. To break free from gravity requires more than engineering. It requires power that exceeds what our current civilization can sustainably provide. Each kilogram that rises must borrow from the entire planet's reserves of energy and wealth. And yet, the dream persists. Because the dream is beautiful. The image of a rocket rising through clouds, glowing in morning light, still stirs something primal. The need to climb, to explore, to see what lies beyond the horizon. That yearning is human. It is the same impulse that carried us across oceans, that built our cities, that shaped our stories. But when it comes to the stars, the distance between desire and reality is measured not in kilometers, but in the sheer weight of physics itself. Every successful launch hides a mountain of struggle, years of planning, decades of refinement, billions of dollars of fuel and metal, all spent to send a handful of humans into an environment that kills within seconds. And every mission ends the same way, with a return. No matter how far we travel, gravity always calls us home. Every rocket we build carries the same quiet paradox. To rise higher, it must burn more. Yet the more it carries to burn, the heavier it becomes. Each launch is a negotiation between gravity and fuel, precision and weight, hope and mathematics. The engines roar, flames push downward, and for a few minutes, the vehicle climbs, as though defying everything that has ever held it. But what looks like liberation is, in truth, a controlled act of destruction. Stage after stage falls away, sacrificed to keep the remaining fragment moving. When the final piece reaches orbit, more than 90% of the machine has already been discarded. That's the cost of escape. Mass turned to ash, ambition traded for altitude. The logic that governs this trade was written long before the first rocket rose from a launch pad. In 1903, the Russian scientist Konstantin Tsiolkovsky described the equation that binds every rocket forever, the rocket equation. It links a vehicle's change in speed to its fuel, its mass, and its exhaust velocity. No matter how advanced we become, those relationships stay unbroken. To move faster, you must shed more mass or carry more fuel. Either choice eventually collapses under its own weight. Imagine filling a backpack with water to climb a mountain, knowing you must drink from it to survive the trip. The more you carry, the heavier the climb becomes. That is rocketry. A rocket must carry not only the fuel that pushes it upward, but also the fuel that will push the rest of its fuel later on. This compounding burden is why size brings diminishing returns. Doubling a rocket's fuel does not double its range. It barely increases it at all. In theory, we could build rockets large enough to carry cities. In practice, their structures would crush under their own mass before leaving the pad. Engineers can only work within a narrow window where thrust, strength, and fuel capacity stay in balance. That's why every spacefaring nation ends up with machines that look strangely alike. Long cylinders, stacked in stages, each designed to die so the next can live. The Saturn V was the apex of this design. No rocket before or since has surpassed its raw power. At launch, it weighed almost 3,000 tons, the mass of a small warship, and burned through that weight in minutes. The fire that shook Florida's coast was the sound of chemical energy meeting physics head-on. When it was over, a tiny capsule no larger than a truck carried 3 men toward the moon. That ratio, thousands of tons reduced to a few, reveals the inefficiency hidden behind the glory. People often ask why we cannot simply build something better. But rockets are not cars or planes. They are governed by an exponential relationship, not a linear one. A little improvement in efficiency demands a monumental change in design. Even perfect engines, theoretical ones that expel exhaust at near-light speeds, would still obey the same curve. Gravity always collects its due. Chemical propulsion, the kind that powered the Saturn V and every modern rocket since, sits near the practical ceiling of what we can achieve with known fuels. Liquid hydrogen and oxygen produce tremendous thrust, yet their energy density, the amount of energy per kilogram, is still limited. Beyond this, we would need nuclear or fusion systems, technologies still confined to laboratories and dreams. Until such breakthroughs arrive, we remain tethered by chemistry. That tether shapes everything. To send a single ton of payload beyond Earth's atmosphere requires burning roughly 20 tons of fuel. To land that ton safely on another world and return it home doubles or triples the cost. Each extra kilogram is magnified by gravity's equation until it becomes a mountain of fuel. That is why missions to Mars are launched in pieces. Tiny rovers, lightweight probes, fragile capsules that barely survive landing. Every gram saved is a victory over nature's indifference. Even reusability, the modern triumph that lets boosters return and land gracefully, doesn't erase the math. It softens it. By saving hardware, we save money and time, but not energy. Each ascent still consumes the same fuel, the same thrust, the same climb through atmosphere and gravity well. Reusability makes launches more frequent, not freer. The cost shifts from materials to maintenance, from metal to manpower. Beyond the numbers lies another limit: distance. Once a spacecraft leaves orbit, every bit of speed it carries was purchased during those few minutes of fire. There are no gas stations in space. When the fuel runs out, momentum and gravity take over. That is why most probes drift for years on silent trajectories, their paths dictated by the mathematics decided at launch. They are beautiful, but powerless. For human travel, this reality is harsher. The moon sits 250,000 miles away. Mars, on average, 225 million kilometers. The farther we go, the greater the cost. Not just in energy, but in survival. Every extra hour of travel demands oxygen, food, shielding, and hope. A Mars mission must carry months of supplies and redundancy for every system. Water recyclers, carbon dioxide scrubbers, medical tools, spare electronics. Each backup adds weight, and each kilogram requires still more fuel. The circle tightens again. Even if a crew reaches its destination, the challenge only deepens. Mars's thin atmosphere provides little protection from radiation. Its weak gravity may erode bones and muscles. The soil is toxic, the temperature deadly. The planet may look familiar in pictures, but it is less hospitable than the coldest Antarctic night. To survive there, we would need not only habitats and power, but entire ecosystems, miniature Earths sealed inside domes. And every screw, circuit, and pipe for those systems would have to be lifted from the same gravity well that keeps us grounded now. It's a logistical knot so vast that even the most optimistic engineers speak of it with caution. This is why, when scientists discuss the future, their voices soften. They know that the problem is not imagination but magnitude. The laws that govern motion, mass, and energy do not bend to desire. We can design around them, work within them, but never escape them entirely. To reach the stars, we must one day rewrite those laws, or find ways to live within their limits so elegantly that it feels like freedom. For now, we remain students of gravity, learning humility one launch at a time. Every rocket that climbs skyward is a reminder: we are brilliant, determined, and impossibly fragile. Our machines can touch the heavens for moments, but our roots remain deep in the soil that feeds us. Perhaps that too is a kind of wisdom, because even as we chase the stars, the Earth continues to turn beneath us, steady, patient, waiting for us to understand that escape is not the only form of progress. Every dream of living beyond Earth eventually collides with a quieter, more humbling word: logistics. We imagine bold explorers planting flags, building domes beneath alien skies, stepping into history. But behind every flag and every dome lies a mountain of crates, cables, spare parts, and schedules. The universe runs not on bravery, but on supply chains. Space, more than any frontier before it, exposes how fragile life is when separated from home. For a few days or weeks, astronauts can carry everything they need: tanks of air, pouches of food, carefully rationed water. Beyond that, survival becomes a problem of weight, replacement, and repair. 3 words that quietly decide the fate of every mission. In orbit, nothing is left to chance. Every vital system, oxygen generation, carbon dioxide removal, temperature control, electricity, exists in duplicate or triplicate. If one fails, another takes its place. If both fail, there are emergency procedures waiting. Yet each backup adds mass, and each kilogram of mass steals fuel from something else. An extra oxygen tank can weigh hundreds of kilograms. A duplicate scrubber adds more. A truly independent backup system doubles the total weight again, because it requires its own wiring, plumbing, and power supply. On Earth, redundancy means safety. In space, redundancy means debt. A constant payment to gravity for the privilege of not dying. The International Space Station already dances at the edge of this compromise. It has multiple oxygen generators, several carbon dioxide scrubbers, and endless checklists for emergencies. Even so, breakdowns are frequent. Valves jam, fans stop, filters clog. Astronauts spend much of their time repairing the very systems that keep them alive. And when a component fails completely, they wait, sometimes weeks, for a replacement to arrive on the next cargo ship from Earth. Now stretch that problem across millions of kilometers. Imagine a crew on Mars facing the same failure, but with no resupply for 2 years. A single broken pump, a torn seal, a shorted wire could end a colony. True self-sufficiency would mean having replacements for every possible part. Thousands of components, each with its own maintenance schedule. The mass would be staggering. On Earth, repair is invisible because help is everywhere. Factories make spares, specialists arrive within hours. Tools can be bought or built. Off-world, none of that exists. Every nut, bearing, and circuit must already be there, waiting. If not, the crew must improvise with whatever scraps remain. Astronauts train in dozens of disciplines: mechanics, electronics, chemistry, but they cannot master them all. Fixing a broken water recycler might require 3 separate fields of expertise. In space, that becomes a puzzle solved under pressure, with oxygen ticking away. On Mars, even communication adds risk. Each message to Earth takes up to 20 minutes one way. A simple troubleshooting conversation becomes an hour-long relay while life support numbers fall. We often imagine technology as a solution, but in isolation, technology reveals its fragility. Every complex machine hides smaller ones inside. Pumps within filters, circuits within boards. One unseen failure can cascade through everything. On Earth, that chain ends with a repair call. In space, it ends with silence. A kilogram of spare parts is a kilogram less of food, water, or science. Every mission planner faces that arithmetic. Which comfort to sacrifice for which contingency? Add more spares, and the rocket grows heavier. Make it lighter, and risk creeps in through the seams. Between those 2 numbers, mass and safety, lies the impossible balance that defines exploration. Even the concept of enough becomes uncertain. How many filters? How many circuit boards? How much fuel for backup generators? A lunar base designed for 12 people might require thousands of kilograms in hidden systems simply to survive its first year. Each subsystem, air, water, power, medical, needs its own redundancy, and all must remain sealed, pressurized, and warm in a place where the outside temperature swings from burning to frozen every 2 weeks. A house on Earth weighs perhaps 100 tons, including concrete and steel. A lunar habitat, though smaller, must endure pressures it was never meant to bear. Internal atmosphere pressing outward, radiation pressing inward, temperatures swinging hundreds of degrees. To survive, its walls must be thick, its seals perfect, its structure reinforced. Even with the lightest materials we know, Each module for just 4 astronauts could weigh several tons before adding life support equipment or shielding. Shielding itself multiplies the burden. The moon has no atmosphere, no magnetic field. Cosmic rays and solar storms strike its surface unfiltered, carrying energies that slowly damage tissue and DNA. Studies show that long-term habitation would require several meters of lunar soil, regolith, piled over habitats as armor. But before a single spadeful can be placed, the colony must deliver excavators to do the work. On Earth, even a small bulldozer weighs several tons. Sending one to the moon would require its own heavy lift rocket. A functioning fleet of such machines would demand dozens more launches. The deeper engineers model it, the clearer the pattern becomes. Every solution multiplies the problem. To dig, you need machines. To run the machines, you need power. To provide power, you need reactors or vast solar farms. Each one, another shipment from Earth. The circle keeps expanding until the dream resembles an entire planet's economy scaled down and shipped across the void. Humans need oxygen, water, food, and temperature stability every single day. A closed-loop system can recycle some of these, but never perfectly. Even on the ISS, leakage and inefficiency mean constant resupply. Filters clog, membranes degrade, microbes evolve. To support a permanent settlement, life support must be industrial, not experimental. Giant scrubbers, full-scale recyclers, waste processors, farms. Each requires tanks, pipes, wiring, and backups. Multiply all that by years of continuous operation, and the total mass climbs into the hundreds of tons. Power is the bloodstream of all of it. Without energy, oxygen stops cycling, water stops purifying, heat vanishes. Solar power can work on the moon's day side, but the lunar night lasts 14 Earth days. Batteries large enough to bridge that gap would outweigh the habitat itself. Nuclear power is tempting, yet comes with challenges of safety, transport, and repair. Every solution arrives with new risks attached. When planners tally the true requirements, housing, power, food, medical care, transport, waste, redundancy, even the simplest base begins to look like a small city. Each city needs an economy. Each economy needs workers. Industry grows where there are markets, resources, and demand. And for now, those exist only here, on Earth. Space makes us confront the cost of being alive. On our planet, oxygen is free, water falls from clouds, and soil produces food without asking permission. Beyond it, every breath, every sip, every seed must be earned by technology. And technology, for all its brilliance, is fragile. That is why scientists speak with reverence about the balance we already have. The Earth provides redundancy by design, oceans that regulate temperature, forests that recycle air, microbes that rebuild soil. A colony would need to reproduce all of these in miniature, and even then, it would remain a copy, a pale imitation of the original. Perhaps the hardest truth in all of this is that our planet already solved every problem we are trying to fix elsewhere. It built an atmosphere, it forged a magnetic shield, it powered itself endlessly through the sun. It achieved perfect redundancy without ever calculating it. And we, standing within it, are the beneficiaries of that miracle. Every conversation about living beyond, Earth eventually turns toward a hopeful idea. The belief that one day we will make what we need there instead of forever depending on what we launch from home. It feels simple enough. If we can mine the moon for metals, extract water from Martian ice, refine soil into bricks, and print our own tools, then surely we can cut the chain that ties us to Earth. That is the dream of self-sufficiency. Elegant, logical, and endlessly inspiring. Yet when scientists trace the details, the dream becomes heavier than the planets themselves. Everything begins with energy. On Earth, energy is everywhere. Sunlight, wind, tides, coal, gas, and nuclear heat. But in space, there is only what we carry or capture. The moon glows brilliantly for 2 weeks, then sinks into darkness for another 2. During that long night, the temperature drops below -170 degrees Celsius. Metal becomes brittle, batteries drain, machines freeze. To keep a colony alive through that darkness would require power that never falters. Reactors able to run for decades without a single mechanical failure. Solar panels cannot do it alone. The batteries needed to store enough power for 14 Earth nights would outweigh every structure on the surface. Mars offers more light, but also more problems. Its sun is weak and its air thin. Dust storms can swallow the planet for months, turning day into rust-colored twilight. Wind turbines barely spin in the thin atmosphere, and geothermal heat lies kilometers below the frozen ground. Every watt of power must be fought for, guarded, and rationed. Even if a colony solved its power problem, it would face the question of production. On Earth, civilization is a miracle of interlocking industries, thousands of companies, millions of workers, endless chains of specialization. To make a single smartphone requires mines for rare metals, factories for glass, chemical plants for plastics, and clean rooms where machines etch circuits smaller than bacteria. In space, that web does not exist. A colony would have to rebuild it from nothing, with only a few hundred hands and a few hundred machines. Mining is not just digging. It is crushing, melting, purifying, and refining. Every step requires furnaces, solvents, and expertise. A single industrial smelter weighs tens of tons, even if it could be shipped in parts. Assembling and maintaining it would demand cranes, welders, and workshops that do not yet exist beyond Earth. Researchers imagine small victories, melting regolith into glassy bricks, printing bolts from local metals, splitting lunar dust into oxygen and silicon. Those experiments are real and useful, but they are not independence. They are survival mechanisms, fragments of industry pretending to be civilization. A colony might build walls, but not computers. It could patch leaks, but not manufacture the electronics that detect them. Between making bricks and making chips stretches the difference between camping and culture. Some believe robots will bridge that gap. Machines can dig, build, and even repair without air or rest. They could prepare settlements before humans arrive. Yet robots are not autonomous in the way dreams require. Each one is a reflection of its maker. It needs maintenance, calibration, and replacement parts. The most advanced machines on Earth still depend on an army of technicians who adjust their sensors, rewrite their code, and replace worn joints. A handful of settlers on another world would not have that army. Even simple breakdowns could cascade into disaster. The fantasy of self-replicating robots remains decades, perhaps centuries, away. Then, there is the quiet enemy of every frontier: economics. Industry grows only where there are customers, workers, and exchange. Off-world, there are none. A mining base on the moon could extract rare metals, but each kilogram would cost hundreds of thousands of dollars to ship home. A Martian refinery could fill tanks with fuel, but only if someone paid for the rockets to bring them back. For the foreseeable future, every settlement would consume resources rather than create them. It would exist not because it pays for itself, but because Earth continues to send it everything it cannot make. Medicines, computers, plastics, replacement hearts for broken machines. The more a colony tries to stand alone, the more it will feel the pull of the world it left behind. Time wears everything down. Seals leak, valves stick, bearings grind. On Earth, we call a technician and order a part. In space, there is no store, no delivery truck, no supply line except the one that crosses the void. Maintenance becomes a rhythm of endless vigilance. Filters clog with dust. Solar cells darken under radiation. Every tool corrodes a little faster under the dry, static air of a pressurized dome. Entropy never sleeps, and each repair steals hours from exploration, from rest, from life itself. Eventually, every screw must be replaced, every circuit renewed. To live beyond Earth is to live within a machine that cannot afford to stop. Yet the dream persists, and perhaps it must. Humanity's greatest quality is its refusal to accept the boundaries drawn around it. We imagine glass domes glittering under alien suns, hydroponic farms glowing with artificial daylight, towers rising against red skies. These images move us. They inspire engineers to invent, to test, to fail, and to try again. They drive progress even when progress crawls, but honesty demands its place beside inspiration. Behind every beautiful rendering of a Martian city lies an equation that resists simplification. We can build outposts. We cannot yet build worlds. To replicate Earth somewhere else means reconstructing a system that took billions of years to evolve. The planet's cycles of water, carbon, and temperature are self-correcting. Its oceans absorb heat and exhale clouds. Its forests create the very air we breathe. No closed habitat we design can match that complexity. Every model we build depends on constant oversight and repair. Even the concept of terraforming, transforming Mars into a second Earth, demands powers beyond imagination. We would have to release greenhouse gases, thicken the atmosphere, melt polar caps, and somehow ignite a magnetic field to shield the new air from solar winds. The energy required would rival the total output of our sun for centuries. It is not impossible in theory, but in practice, It is as distant as the stars themselves. When scientists say we may never truly leave Earth, they are not surrendering to pessimism. They are acknowledging scale. The Earth's balance is a masterpiece too vast to duplicate. It keeps us alive without asking effort from us. Its sky filters radiation. Its magnetic field deflects cosmic storms. Its ecosystems recycle waste into nourishment and loss into renewal. No other world we know of does that. Every plan to replace it reminds us how perfect it already is. Perhaps that is what exploration is teaching us. Not that we cannot live elsewhere, but that we already inhabit a miracle. To understand how hard it is to survive beyond Earth is to rediscover the meaning of home. Our planet does not trap us. It sustains us. It offers everything we keep trying to rebuild in its absence. When we dream of cities under alien suns, we are really dreaming of carrying this balance with us, of finding a way to bottle the impossible harmony that created life. Until we can, every rocket, every outpost, every station will remain connected to the same truth. Wherever we go, Earth follows, because we cannot yet live without it. When we talk about leaving Earth, we often imagine the mechanics, rockets, engines, orbits, habitats, but we speak less about what it does to the mind. Space is not only a physical challenge, it is a psychological one, the longest and quietest test of what it means to be human. Inside the thin walls of a spacecraft, surrounded by the hum of recycled air, there is no wind, no smell of soil, no horizon to rest the eyes. The world shrinks to a set of routines: check pressure, measure oxygen, clean filters, sleep, wake, repeat. Beyond the glass, there is beauty beyond description. But it is also emptiness without end. Astronauts describe space as silent in a way that cannot be imagined on Earth. Sound travels only through metal and air. Outside, there is nothing. The blackness beyond the window is not like night, but like absence itself. It absorbs even thought. For a few days, the wonder of it all keeps the heart full. Then time begins to stretch. Days lose their edges because every 90 minutes the sun rises and sets again. Circadian rhythms dissolve. Sleep grows shallow. Dreams drift oddly. Moods change. In long-duration missions, depression and insomnia creep in like invisible passengers. Even with communication, laughter and music, the isolation becomes tangible, a weight pressing from within. For those few who have looked back at Earth from orbit, the view is overwhelming. The blue curve of the planet glows like a living jewel. From that distance, borders disappear, wars vanish, and home becomes a fragile marble of color and cloud. Astronauts call this transformation the overview effect. A shift in perception where the mind understands, not intellectually, but emotionally, how small and interconnected life truly is. Many return changed, filled with both love and sorrow, because once you have seen how delicate the Earth is, it is impossible to look at it the same way again. But the farther one goes, the more that connection fades. The delay in communication grows from seconds to minutes to hours. For a crew bound for Mars, each message home will take more than 20 minutes to arrive. A conversation becomes an exchange of echoes. Birthdays, crises, simple goodbyes, all unfold in delay. It is not just distance that separates travelers from home, but time itself. Every action feels detached from the world that made it meaningful. Even courage begins to feel different when no one can answer right away. Isolation changes people. Even on the International Space Station, where 6 astronauts live together, psychologists monitor every detail. Group tensions, silence at meals, the tone of voice during check-ins. Humans are social creatures shaped by touch, voice, and shared air. In space, those things disappear. There is only the constant mechanical breathing of machines. When something breaks, there is no neighbor, no technician, no casual hand on the shoulder saying it will be fine. There is only the crew, a handful of souls in an environment that does not forgive. On long voyages, even trivial problems become magnified. A small disagreement about chores can simmer for weeks. A moment of frustration can echo endlessly in confined space. NASA and Roscosmos study this carefully because emotional collapse can be as deadly as a mechanical failure. Crews are trained to talk openly, to recognize stress, to practice patience until it becomes instinct. But training has limits. No simulation can reproduce months of silence, the taste of the same recycled air, or the subtle ache of missing home. Then there is radiation. Invisible, omnipresent, lethal in slow motion. Beyond Earth's magnetic shield, cosmic rays slice through human tissue, breaking DNA. Astronauts on the way to Mars would be exposed to doses equivalent to thousands of chest X-rays. Over time, this raises the risk of cancer, cataracts, and even cognitive decline. Shielding can reduce it, but at the cost of more weight, and weight is the enemy of every rocket. Once again, physics and biology collide. Even the human body itself begins to unravel in space. Without gravity, muscles weaken, bones dissolve, and fluids drift upward, pressing against the eyes. Astronauts grow taller, but their spines ache. Their balance fades. Their hearts change shape because pumping blood no longer fights against weight. Returning to Earth after months in orbit, many cannot walk without help. Imagine living years that way, under weaker gravity, on Mars or the Moon. We would adapt, perhaps, but we would also become something else, a new kind of human shaped by alien physics. If generations were born there, they might never survive returning home. The emotional toll grows heavier with distance. On Earth, the smallest comforts, wind, rain, the warmth of sunlight filtered through leaves, are invisible medicines. They remind the mind of continuity, of belonging. In space, these sensations vanish. The air is dry, metallic, and recycled. The light is harsh, unfiltered, and endless. The eyes crave the chaos of nature. Irregular shapes, shifting colors, the horizon that tells the brain it is safe. Deprived of those cues, the mind begins to ache in ways we barely understand. Even the concept of time itself breaks down. On Mars, a day is 40 minutes longer than on Earth. That small difference sounds harmless, yet over weeks, it pushes sleep schedules into chaos. Teams on Earth managing Mars rovers experience this distortion secondhand. They wake 40 minutes later each day until their nights fall out of sync with the sun. Imagine generations living by rhythms that no longer match the heartbeat of Earth. Slowly, they would lose their sense of home, not through distance, but through misalignment of time. Scientists and philosophers have begun to realize that our dependence on Earth is not just physical, it is psychological. The planet shaped our perception, our biology, even our emotions. We evolved under its sky, learned its colors, its sounds, its balance of light and shadow. Remove those, and something fundamental changes. Life beyond Earth will require not just habitats, but environments that recreate the feel of being alive. Artificial gravity, simulated weather, sounds of wind and rain piped through speakers. We will need to design not only machines, but comfort, memory, and meaning. Yet despite all these limits, the desire persists. Humanity is restless by nature. We cross oceans, climb mountains, dive into depths that crush steel. Not because we must, but because something in us whispers that we should. Exploration is not rebellion against the world. It is a way of understanding it. When we reach for the stars, we are also reaching back toward ourselves, testing what it means to endure, to adapt, to dream. But we must not confuse longing with readiness. The universe is vast, beautiful, and indifferent. It will not soften its edges for us. Every victory will come at a cost, measured not only in fuel and engineering, but in the quiet toll it takes on the heart. Perhaps the greatest discovery of the space age is not that we can leave Earth, but that leaving it shows us how inseparable we are from it. The farther we go, the more clearly we see that our planet is not a stage to depart from, but a companion on an eternal journey. Every breath, every step, every heartbeat connects to the same cycles of air and light that began billions of years ago. The stars call to us, but the echo that answers is Earth itself, reminding us that we already travel through the cosmos together. From orbit, Earth does not look like a planet. It looks like a miracle pretending to be ordinary. The thin blue line that wraps around it is the only thing separating life from silence. That veil of atmosphere, no thicker than a coat of paint on a globe, is what holds every breath, every sound, every cloud and color that has ever existed. Astronauts who have seen it from above describe it with reverence. They say it looks fragile, almost breakable, as if one careless thought could tear it apart. They call it the skin of the world. Up there, surrounded by the infinite black, that skin glows faintly against the dark like the halo of a candle in a cavern. The clouds swirl slowly, the oceans pulse with light, and lightning flickers like veins of life coursing through the body of the planet. From that distance, no cities are visible, no roads, no borders, only patterns of weather and the memory of movement. It becomes impossible to look at that world and still think of it as divided. The truth of it is simple. It is one system, one organism, one breath shared by every living thing. That realization is not just poetic. It is scientific. Earth behaves like something alive. Its oceans, forests, and atmosphere interact in cycles so intricate that each depends on the others for balance. When the oceans absorb carbon, the forests breathe easier. When the forests die, the carbon returns to the air. Volcanoes feed the soil with minerals that eventually feed life itself. Even the polar ice, so cold and still, regulates the planet's temperature by reflecting sunlight back into space. Every part, from the tiniest bacterium to the largest hurricane, plays a role in keeping the system steady. This balance is so delicate that even small disruptions can echo through it for centuries. It is the closest thing to perfection we have ever found. When scientists describe the difficulty of living elsewhere, what they are really describing is the perfection of this balance. No other place we have discovered comes close. Mars has no magnetic field to shield against radiation. Venus suffocates under heat and pressure. The moons of Jupiter and Saturn are sculpted from ice and rock, beautiful but deadly. Even the best candidates for habitability, exoplanets orbiting faraway suns, are so distant that reaching them would take longer than the age of civilization itself. In the vast darkness, Earth is the only known home where life not only survives, but thrives in endless variation. Every exploration beyond it, every probe and telescope has returned to us a strange truth. The more we look for other worlds like ours, the more we realize how rare this one is. It is easy to think of space as endless opportunity, but in all that endlessness, we have yet to find another blue marble. It is as though the universe created a single oasis and left it to float alone. Perhaps that is why astronauts who go the farthest often become the most devoted environmentalists. From above, the fragility of home is undeniable. You see smoke rising from fires that devour forests, the scars of mining and war, the pale haze of pollution drifting across continents. You realize how thin the boundary is between air that sustains and air that poisons. There are no rescue missions for planets. There is no spare Earth waiting behind the stars. The one we have must last, and yet in all its vulnerability, there is strength. The same thin air that seems fragile also protects us from radiation and meteors. The same storms that tear through coastlines also carry nutrients across the sea. The same volcanoes that destroy land also create it. Earth is a master of transformation. It has endured impacts, ice ages, extinctions, and still it recovers. Life here is woven into every stone and ocean current. Even in the darkest depths, miles below the surface, heat and pressure give rise to creatures that shimmer like living minerals. It is as if the planet itself refuses to surrender to silence. Scientists once spoke of the Earth as if it were just another object, a ball of rock wrapped in gas. Now they describe it more like a system, even a symphony, where everything moves in rhythm. When we burn forests, we change that rhythm. When we melt ice, we alter its tempo. The harmony wavers, and we hear the dissonance in the form of storms, droughts, and rising seas. In trying to leave the planet, we are reminded of how deeply we depend on its song. It is easy to believe that space travel is the ultimate form of progress, but progress is not only measured in distance or speed. It can also be measured in awareness, in the clarity of knowing where we belong. The more we reach outward, the more the universe reflects us back toward home. Each mission, each photograph, each journey farther away becomes a lesson in gratitude. Imagine the silence of Mars, the unending cold of its plains. Imagine the loneliness of being the only warm thing for millions of miles. Every heartbeat, every whisper would remind you of what you left behind. On Earth, life hums around us constantly. In the buzz of insects, the murmur of rivers, the pulse of wind through trees. It is a background music we no longer hear because it never stops. Only in its absence would we realize that it was a symphony all along. Perhaps the truest gift of exploration is perspective. We began by looking up at the stars, wondering how far we could go. Now, standing on the edge of that infinite dark, we have learned to look down, to see what we already have. We may never fully escape gravity, but maybe we are not meant to. Gravity is what binds us not just to the ground but to one another, holding together oceans, air, and life itself. It is the invisible thread that connects every mountain and molecule, every person and storm. In trying to leave it, we begin to understand it. So when scientists say that we may never leave Earth, it is not a warning against exploration. It is a reminder that the destination we seek might not be out there at all. It might be here, understanding that we are already on a ship, already traveling through the stars at incredible speed. already part of the grandest journey that exists. Earth is not a place we depart from. It is the vessel that carries us through eternity. Each orbit, each sunrise, each shadow that sweeps across the continents is part of that journey. And when you see it from space, spinning silently through the dark, glowing with oceans and storms, you realize that there is nowhere else you would rather be. Humanity has always searched for the next horizon. Every generation inherits that quiet hunger to go farther, to see what lies beyond the familiar line where sky meets ground. Once it was oceans, then it was continents, then the sky itself, now it is the stars. That longing is not arrogance, it is instinct. Somewhere deep within us is the echo of every ancestor who ever looked at the moon and wondered if someone might be looking back. The dream of space travel, for all its technology, is still a human story. It's about imagination trying to outrun limitation. But imagination moves faster than reality. We can see other worlds through telescopes. We can send cameras to orbit them. We can map their mountains and know their seasons. Yet standing there ourselves remains an idea, not a plan. The distance between seeing and touching is greater than all our progress combined. We tend to think of space as open and limitless, but it is mostly nothingness. A near-perfect vacuum scattered with a few islands of matter. Distances are so immense that even light, moving at 300,000 kilometers per second, takes years to cross from one star to another. The Milky Way alone is 100,000 light-years wide. If humanity's entire history, from the first stone tools to now, were compressed into a single year, our farthest probe would have traveled less than a millimeter across that calendar. The cosmos humbles us with scale. We send messages into the dark, encoded greetings carried on golden records and radio waves, hoping someone, somewhere, will hear. But those signals fade into noise long before they reach another civilization, if any exist at all. Space is not a stage waiting for us. It is a silence so vast that even our greatest achievements vanish inside it like breath in winter air. And yet, we still look up, because looking up is what keeps us alive. The stars remind us that there is more beyond the noise of our days, that curiosity itself is a kind of light. Even if we never reach them, they give us direction. They keep our minds expanding, our hearts searching. In that way, exploration is not about escaping home, but about understanding it. Every spacecraft we've launched, every probe that has crossed into interstellar space, carries a fragment of who we are. They are our questions cast into the dark. When Voyager 1 looked back from the edge of the solar system and captured that faint dot of Earth, the pale blue dot, it revealed something extraordinary. Every story ever told, every civilization, every war, every love, every laugh existed on that single pixel of light. From that distance, all divisions disappeared. It was the truest portrait of unity we have ever seen. Carl Sagan, who helped inspire that image, called Earth a mote of dust suspended in a sunbeam. It was not poetry for beauty's sake, it was a realization. He saw in that picture what the universe sees, a fragile world alone in the dark, brilliant and small, yet filled with meaning. That image became a mirror for all of humanity, showing us not how far we had traveled, but how precious the journey already was. Space travel makes philosophers out of engineers. Every calculation for thrust, trajectory, or fuel eventually turns into a question about purpose. Why do we seek other worlds? Is it to survive, or simply to witness the beauty of existence more closely? Maybe both, but survival alone is not enough. We could build shelters on Mars, cities beneath the moon's surface, and still be haunted by the quiet truth that no machine can replace the feeling of standing barefoot on soil that breathes. The more we learn about other worlds, the more we see how fine the line of habitability really is. If Earth were just a little closer to the sun, its oceans would boil. A little farther and they would freeze. If our moon were smaller, tides would weaken, weather would falter, and rotation would wobble. If our atmosphere were thinner, cosmic radiation would sterilize the surface. Life exists here not because of one lucky factor, but because of 1,000 small balances working in harmony. It is not chance. It is miracle disguised as science. Our civilization, for all its ambition, still stands on that fragile balance. Every bite of food, every breath of air, every drop of water connects us to a system that renews itself in silence. We speak of progress as movement, forward, upward, outward. But real progress might also mean stillness, It might mean learning to remain, to care for the one world that sustains every possibility we have. There is a strange irony in how far we've come. In trying to escape the planet, we have learned how deeply we belong to it. The technologies we build to survive in space, recycling systems, closed habitats, renewable energy, are the same ones we need to preserve Earth itself. The more we prepare to live elsewhere, the more we discover how to live better here. Space exploration, in the end, may not be about relocation, but revelation. It is teaching us to see our home as if we were visitors for the first time. When we talk about colonizing Mars, we are really talking about understanding Earth. We test our ability to grow food in alien soil, to purify air, to survive isolation. But these are also the lessons we need for a changing climate, for fragile ecosystems, for our own sustainability. The stars are not our escape plan. They are our teachers. They show us what we would lose if we forget the value of what we have. Maybe that is the deeper purpose of exploration, not to flee, but to return wiser, to look up, journey outward, and come back with eyes that finally see. Because leaving, in the human sense, is never really about distance. It's about perspective. We travel so that when we come home, we understand what home means. And so, the fantasy of space travel becomes something gentler than conquest. It becomes meditation. We look to the stars, not to abandon our world, but to love it more fiercely. We build rockets not because we despise gravity, but because we wish to honor it by testing its reach. Even if humanity never settles another planet, the act of dreaming, building, and launching reminds us that we are capable of astonishing things. It proves that imagination is the most powerful engine we possess. Perhaps one day, far in the future, our descendants will stand beneath another sun and remember this place as their origin story, the first cradle, the first sky. But until then, this small blue world remains everything. It is both the beginning and the destination. It is the heart that pumps life through the veins of history. And while we may never escape it, maybe that is the greatest gift of all, to belong completely to something so rare, so beautiful, and so alive. The universe is infinite, but so is wonder. And as long as we carry that with us, we are already among the stars. We are travelers already, though most of us never feel the motion. At this very moment, Earth carries us around the sun at more than 100,000 kilometers per hour. The solar system itself spins around the center of the Milky Way at nearly 1,000,000 kilometers per hour. Every second we cross distances so vast that words barely hold them, and yet we do it without effort, asleep in the arms of gravity. When we talk about space travel, we imagine departure, but we have never stopped moving. The journey has been happening since the beginning. The planet beneath our feet is not still. It is a vessel, a perfect spacecraft, self-sustaining and eternal within the limits of time. It carries an ocean for cooling, an atmosphere for breathing, magnetic fields for shielding, and life that repairs and recycles itself endlessly. No engineer could design something so balanced. We live aboard the most advanced ship that has ever existed, though we rarely recognize it as one. When we gaze upward, dreaming of flight, we forget that we are already sailing through infinity together. Perhaps that is the irony of all our ambition. We long to leave home in search of something extraordinary, never realizing that the extraordinary is the home itself. The sun that warms us also drives our winds, feeds our crops, powers our seas. The moon that tugs at our tides also steadies our spin, slowing the chaos of time into rhythm. The earth beneath our shoes is a story written in rock and river, each grain of sand a fragment of the universe remembering its origin. We are not apart from this system. We are its expression. Every human being carries proof of that connection inside their body. The iron in our blood was forged in ancient stars that died long before our sun was born. The calcium in our bones once drifted through the oceans of prehistoric Earth. The oxygen in our lungs was first breathed out by algae and forests millions of years ago. To live is to participate in a chain of transformations older than history. When we say we belong to Earth, we are not speaking metaphorically. We are literally composed of it. All of civilization, with its cities and inventions, is a thin film spread across the surface of this ancient organism. The planet has watched continents drift, climates shift, species rise and vanish. It has been many worlds before ours. Against that timescale, our entire story, pyramids, poetry, spaceflight, is a flicker, a heartbeat in cosmic time. Yet in that heartbeat, consciousness bloomed. For the first time, a part of the universe began to look back at itself and wonder, That is what makes humanity remarkable. We are the universe becoming aware of its own existence. We are stardust that has learned to think. Every telescope we build, every equation we solve, every quiet moment of awe is the cosmos remembering itself. When we study the stars, we are not looking outward but inward, tracing the lineage of our atoms, finding the family resemblance between dust and thought. Space exploration is not just about where we go, it's about who we are. In that sense, home is not simply a location, it is an understanding. Home is the realization that everything we have ever known, loved, or dreamed of exists on this fragile sphere floating in a black sea. We can cross continents and oceans, build cities in orbit, or stand on other planets, but the meaning of those journeys will always point back here. Even if we someday touch other worlds, we will do so as children of this one, carrying its air in our tanks, its water in our cells, its language in our thoughts. We often talk about space as the final frontier, but maybe it isn't a frontier at all. Maybe it's a mirror. The deeper we go into the universe, the more clearly we see our own reflection. We realize that the wars, the divisions, the noise of daily life are illusions born of proximity. From space, there are no borders, only currents of cloud and color. The perspective strips away everything trivial until only one truth remains. We are one species sharing one fragile home. The overview effect, that shift in consciousness astronauts describe, is perhaps the most important discovery space travel has given us. Not new technology, not data, but empathy, a planetary awareness that humbles and unites. When they look down and see Earth suspended in blackness, they feel both awe and responsibility. They understand in an instant that to harm one part of the planet is to harm the whole, that there is no somewhere else where the consequences will stay contained. Every river, every forest, every breath connects to the same heartbeat. Maybe one day, when millions share that perspective, the way we live will change. Maybe we'll begin to measure progress not by what we can take, but by what we can preserve. Because the true legacy of space exploration might not be colonies or cities among the stars, but a civilization that finally understands the value of its own world. We left to find other homes and discovered instead how rare home is. There is comfort in that realization. We do not need to conquer the universe to belong to it. We already do. Every second, our planet drifts through the galaxy, tracing an elegant spiral around the sun, carrying us through time and space as effortlessly as breath. It requires nothing from us except awareness, the humility to see that we are passengers, not masters. This journey does not need a destination to be meaningful. It only needs gratitude. When you step outside at night and look up, the stars you see are not separate from you. Their light is the echo of your own beginnings. Somewhere, a supernova once scattered the ingredients that became your hands, your eyes, your heartbeat. You are the universe looking back on itself, wondering why it exists. And in that wonder, the cosmos continues its story. Perhaps the greatest revelation of science is not how vast the universe is, but how intimate. We are connected to it at every level, chemically, physically, emotionally. Space travel, for all its machinery, is a spiritual act disguised as engineering. It is the mind reaching out to touch what the heart already knows, that everything is one. The stars are not distant, they are within us. So maybe the question was never, when will we leave Earth? But when will we recognize that we've never been apart from the universe at all? The journey outward is the journey inward, and the closer we look at the cosmos, the clearer we see our reflection glowing quietly in the dark. Small, fragile, and utterly magnificent. When you look up at the night sky, it feels endless. The stars shimmer like promises, ancient, unreachable, and yet familiar. They remind us that we are small but not insignificant, because somehow, within the silence between them, something conscious has appeared to notice their light. That something is us. Every time you gaze upward, you are the universe recognizing itself. The journey that began with curiosity and courage ends with reflection. We set out to find new worlds and discovered that the rarest one is the one we already have. For all our inventions, our science, our yearning for flight, we still depend on the same air, the same oceans, the same fragile balance that has held us since the beginning. The realization is humbling. We are explorers, yes, but also caretakers. The more we learn about the cosmos, the clearer it becomes that the most remarkable planet in the universe is the one beneath our feet. We imagined space as freedom, an infinite frontier where we could start anew. But in truth, it reflects us back to ourselves. It shows us the boundaries of biology, of distance, of endurance. It reveals how precious every comfort on Earth really is. The sound of rain on windows, the rhythm of tides, the scent of forests after storms. These are not luxuries. They are the conditions that make us possible. We cannot escape the need for them any more than a seed can escape the need for soil. Space, for all its beauty, is indifferent. There is no sound, no breath, no life, only particles and light obeying ancient rules. It does not hate us, but it will not help us either. Every step we take beyond Earth must be paid for with precision, discipline, and care. There are no shortcuts, no miracles, only the patient unfolding of science. And yet, perhaps that is what makes it sacred. The universe asks nothing of us except understanding. Even if humanity never settles another planet, we have already accomplished something extraordinary. We have seen ourselves from afar. We have reached beyond the cradle, touched the moon, sent our machines to the edge of interstellar space. We have learned what gravity really is, not just a force pulling matter together, but a metaphor for connection itself. It binds the stars into galaxies, the planets into systems, and all living things into a single story. It reminds us that isolation is an illusion. Everything pulls on everything else. Nothing truly drifts alone. Our ancestors once feared the stars as fires of the gods. Now we understand them as furnaces of creation, places where matter becomes light and light becomes time. And yet, in knowing, the mystery has only deepened. Science has not reduced wonder, it has multiplied it. The more precisely we measure the universe, the more miraculous it seems that we are here at all, conscious, fragile, capable of love. In that sense, space exploration is not only about discovery, it is about gratitude. Gratitude for existing at all, for being part of something vast enough to feel eternal. Each mission, each telescope, each quiet experiment is an offering, a way of saying thank you to the cosmos for letting us glimpse itself. The universe may not answer, but the act of asking the question is what makes us human. There is an old thought among scientists that consciousness may be the universe's way of witnessing itself. If that is true, then every thought you have, every dream, every memory is part of that witnessing. You are the awareness of starlight made flesh. When you close your eyes and imagine the stars, you are continuing the oldest conversation in existence, the one between light and time. You are the response to the universe's first whisper. So when we ask, will we ever leave Earth? Perhaps the answer is simpler than we think. We already have. Our voices travel through space on radio waves. Our probes wander between planets. Our atoms are scattered in comets, dust, and air. Even if our bodies never cross to another world, our presence already has. We are woven into the story of the cosmos, inseparable from its unfolding. The real question is not whether we will go farther, but whether we will understand what it means to have come this far. One day, maybe thousands or millions of years from now, life will move beyond this cradle. It will carry the memory of Earth, its colors, its music, its warmth, into the dark. It will tell the story of the small blue world where everything began. But no matter how far it goes, that story will always point backward, like a compass forever fixed on home. Because home is not a place we leave, it is the origin that follows us. The light from our sun will travel for billions of years after it fades, and within that light is the trace of every life that ever existed here. When those rays pass through distant space, they will still carry the fingerprints of our oceans, our forests, our breath. The universe will remember us in photons, the faint echo of a species that once looked up and wondered. And perhaps that is enough. Perhaps that is the meaning of it all. To live, to understand, and to reflect. To be the eyes of the cosmos for a little while. We don't need to conquer the stars to be part of them. We already are. Every atom in our bodies has traveled through space since before Earth existed. Every spark of thought is powered by energy that was once sunlight. We are not visitors in the universe. We are the universe awake. So tonight, as you listen, let the world around you fade. Imagine the silence between stars, not empty, but full of potential. Imagine Earth, spinning slowly through that silence, carrying oceans, clouds, laughter, and you. Everything you have ever known is aboard that ship. Every story, every future, every heartbeat. It sails through the dark without a map, steady and alive. This is our spacecraft, our sanctuary, our only true home. And as it drifts through the infinite night, it does not seek to arrive anywhere. It simply continues, radiant, improbable, and endlessly beautiful. We are already traveling through space together. We always have been. Welcome home.